Now, tomorrow marks 2 years since Russian troops invaded Ukraine. It was meant to be all over in days. Instead, there's no end in sight. Tonight, behind the scenes of UNICEF's humanitarian efforts with its ambassador, Erika Packer, and her son, Jackson.
Moldova, a tiny ex-Soviet landlocked nation on the doorstep of a war that has raged for 2 years. Just over that horizon, Ukraine. For the children of this war, the pain and trauma is etched on their faces. Mothers, including Elena, are in tears.
It's hard, isn't it? Do you miss home? Do you wish you could go back?
Yes, of course.
For Ukrainians, Moldova is a safe haven. When Russia invaded, Moldova, population just 2.5 million, flung open its border, embracing 1 million Ukrainian refugees, including Alyssa and her mum. UNICEF Australia Ambassador Erika Packer wanted to see for herself the impacts of the war on its youngest victims.
Kids don't know if they're going to see their dad again or their grandparents, or it's very heart-wrenching.
The gunnered girl turned model, then singer, was second wife to James Packer. She's brought 14-year-old Jackson, one of their 3 children, to experience this firsthand.
I have so much growing up and I'm so thankful for that. And these kids, they've been like stripped of nothing.
My kids are growing up very differently to how I grew up, so it's very important for me to try and instill in them some normalcy and some perspective.
I want to help people, and I want to have an impact on people's lives. I don't want to just be another like cloud in the wind.
Erika's been involved with UNICEF Australia for 16 years.
You know, your heart just bleeds for these people that through no fault of their own are they going through this horrific circumstance.
People are out here dying and they need help, and I just want to, spread that message and show how, these people need help.
A current affair accompanied Erika and Jackson, courtesy of UNICEF Australia, in the Moldovan capital of Chisinau. At a medical centre for refugees, we meet Victoria, a mother of 8.
Hi, Victoria, how are you? Nice to meet you.
Just after the war began, Victoria made the 190-kilometre dash here from Odessa in Ukraine's south to keep her kids safe. She has 6 children, but adopted her sister's 2 to save them.
She had depression for about 3 months. Of course, it was difficult. These were not easy times for me, and sometimes I miss support very much. I miss my home.
UNICEF provided food and much-needed medical help. Son Ismail lives with Down syndrome. One of her daughters has heart issues. They are safe for now, but even here, the sounds of war are never far away.
You're a mother of 3 young children. You're here seeing children refugees who fled war zones. How did that make you feel?
It makes me feel very lucky for our life, for a start. But hearing the stories of these refugees, particularly Victoria's story yesterday, they're just so harrowing.
Does it get to you on a personal level?
Yeah, of course.
Victoria's grateful for the help and security, but it's not home.
If the war stops, will you go home?
Если война закончится, вы поедете домой? Да. Yes.
At the beginning of the war, 70 unaccompanied children were crossing the border into Moldova every month, Now there's the added problem of education. In Ukraine, almost 4,000 schools have been damaged by Russian forces. Of the 50,000 Ukrainian refugees in Moldova, a mere 1,500 are in some form of school. This is an entirely remodelled classroom where Ukrainian children get access to technology funded by UNICEF.
Where were you living in Ukraine? Odessa.
Yulia tells me she's grateful for the help, but also longs to return home. UNICEF has been working with the Moldovan government. Maha Damaj is the UNICEF representative.
You can't not be affected. I mean, myself, it was very strange. I come from Lebanon. We've been through this for many years. I thought I was jaded, but then the first time I got to the border and I saw mothers crossing with children, it immediately took me back to my mother crossing with us across the Syrian border as we were leaving in the 70s at the beginning of the war in Lebanon.
Wow. There may be some people who would look at this situation and say, here is somebody who is from a well-off background, who can come into a zone, help out with money and then leave again with the problems then left behind them. What do you say to those people who might think you turn up, you see what you go and then you leave?
I mean, in a way, they're right. We do turn up and we experience this and we meet refugees and I will go home and I will go back to my life and my kids will go back to their life. But what I'm hoping through this process is to raise awareness and to let people know, if they are donating and giving money, that every small amount counts, every bit that goes into those boxes for early childhood, or every tent that is bought, or every box of crayons or whatever, it really gets to these kids and these kids really need it.
Every little thing that everyone does really does have an effect. It really does matter.
2 years on, the war continues about 100 kilometres from where I'm standing. And still there are so many people who need so much help. There's about 100,000 Ukrainians still living in Moldova. 50,000 of them are children. But it's not just Ukrainians feeling the impacts of Vladimir Putin's war in Ukraine. Moldovans are feeling the pressure and pain too. Poverty here has soared 40%. To get by, Elena is educating other Ukrainian children in this Moldova preschool. She has 4 kids of her own and tells me her youngest gets anxiety and consistently shouts about Vladimir Putin. Her oldest is 16 and has gone back to live in the war zone.
She is dreaming to become an artist, and she's really very talented.
Elena's Play Hub allows kids to be kids. A nearby theatre does too. Music and puppetry bring smiles in waves. At preschools aided by UNICEF, the universal language of Lego speaks volumes. This year, UNICEF estimates it will need $580 million just to support the victims and refugees of the war in Ukraine.
I feel when I'm helping with UNICEF that I can really see where the money's going. I can really get in there and get my hands dirty. And when you think about all those kids, and most of them are dependent on humanitarian aid, and how lucky we are that we're not living in a conflict zone and we're not fleeing for our lives, and we have more than the clothes on our back right now.
Worldwide, UNICEF estimates 450 million children are fleeing conflict zones. That's 1 in 5 kids across the world. A lot of that help is sent from this warehouse in Copenhagen in Denmark. It's the size of 3 Melbourne cricket grounds.
It's mind-blowing, the scale of the logistics of how it's all put together.
How's this, eh? The packers are packing.
Right, right.
These boxes will go to Ukraine and Moldova.
You
do the boxes, I'll do the jigsaws. I reckon.
Okay, all right. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Teamwork makes the dream work. But with emergencies around the world, last year UNICEF provided about 10 billion Australian dollars worth of support to children in more than 150 countries. Right now, there's a mission to get aid to Gaza, where it's desperately needed, but so difficult to get in. Emma Maspero is in the Emergency Management Unit at UNICEF's Supply Division.
There are more children in need today of UNICEF support than ever before. And that's scary, it's terrifying.
The Packers say this experience has been eye-opening. Erica had previously taken daughter Indigo to Southeast Asia and wants youngest daughter Emmanuelle to broaden her horizons too.
I want it to be instilled in them how important it is to give and their responsibility to the rest of the world. And I think, you know, UNICEF's so close to my heart.
I can't comprehend what must go through these poor women's minds when they go to sleep at night and the kids are finally asleep. And they're alone. And then they have to get up and do it all again the next day. Somehow they do, and they find that inner strength, and that is remarkable.
Yeah, it certainly is. And it's also remarkable the work being done by UNICEF and so many other humanitarian organisations in far too many places right around the world.